produce those kind of temperatures. 3,000 to 4,000 degrees it takes to turn steel into a molten product. And again, it's molten iron that Dr. Jones, a physicist from formerly of BYU, found in this molten iron. He was sent slag from the beams, and indeed he analyzed it and he found all the chemical trace signature elements of thermite in the previously molten iron, such as fluorine, manganese, barium, zinc, and others, aluminum. It's classic, and it's a case closed for the use of thermite. In fact, thermate, the patented form of thermite, because he found sulfur as well. In fact, FEMA found sulfur on the beams. Sulfidation, rapid oxidation, and intergranular melting at the end of these beams. FEMA documented this quite well, and NIST dropped it like a hot potato, the National Institute of Standards and Technology. So they had, and now NIST denies there was any molten metal whatsoever, but we have the firemen on video, we have the World Trade Center structural engineer Leslie Robertson documenting all of this molten metal. It's documented flowing out of World Trade Center 1 and 2.
Well, let's move on to World Trade Center 1 and 2. World Trade Center 1 and 2, we've had scientists present the impossibility of the collapse. But from an architecture point of view, why do you think that World Trade Centers 1 and 2 were also demolition?
Well, the most obvious, there's 3 or 4 levels of evidence here. When we show the video to our audience, you can readily see that it looks more like a volcano with these upward arching streamers and hurling steel 500 feet laterally and impaling themselves on the surrounding buildings. We even have bone fragments found, a half an inch long bone fragments found on the top of the Deutsche Bank building over 100 feet away. How did they get there? Why are they so small? We have plumes of pulverized concrete, such that at the bottom, and all this is going up and out, laterally ejected like a cannon in this volcanic explosion, and falling at virtually free fall speed, 9 to 10 seconds. And again, the only way that can happen is if all the beams and columns are removed prior to the one floor hitting the next. And in fact, one floor doesn't hit the next because these explosions are from the top down, a non-traditional controlled demolition, to be sure. And again, the rivers of molten metal found at the down in the basement indicates the presence of thermite in this case due to the sulfur. But also we have there's no stack of 110 floors, an acre in size, each of them, at the bottom. We look at the bottom, what do we see? Just shredded structural steel and only a couple of stories of that. We'd expect to see 20, 30 stories of stacked floors, certainly broken up due to the gravitational kinetic energy available, but they'd be all stacked up. And we don't see that. All we see is structural steel, aluminum cladding. In fact, there's millions of file cabinets in these buildings. There's no trace of any of them. There's no trace of the concrete. It's all been pulverized to sizes ranging from small gravel to 10 microns. Most of it is a powder, like a talcum powder. What is the mechanism that can turn chunks of concrete into talcum powder? We're looking for that. We need a complete investigation. Thermite charges will cut through the steel, but there's other explosives involved, and we need to find out what they were, what their mechanism is. It's been proposed that there may have been a thermal barrack type of bomb with hydrogen. We don't know. That could be set off. It wouldn't produce flashes, and it may very well produce the kind of energy required to pulverize the concrete.
Where will you be making this presentation in the near future?
We go to San Diego in October 14th and November 3rd. We're at Hartford, Connecticut, and then in Cambridge on December 15th. And unfortunately, or fortunately, I don't know which, it goes on from there, and it'll just get more intense and more intense, because my goal is to make everyone aware of this truth.
And you also have a DVD out. I'd like to hold that up. 9/11 Blueprint for Truth. And can people get a hold of this DVD?
You bet. You can buy the DVD online at ae911truth.org. You can buy multiple DVDs to get them in the hands of everybody. Don't just listen to this DVD and then let it sit around. It's got to get out. Loan it to every friend you have. Email the link to AE911 Truth to every architect and engineer you know or can find. We've got to get the word out because we're very concerned that there could be a new 9/11 far worse than the last one.
Richard Gage, thank you for joining us on INN, and good luck with the presentation.
Thank you, Lenny.